Hello and welcome to the BME Horizon Hot Topics webinar. I am Borbála Schenk, the Chief European Research Funding Advisor of the Budapest University of Technology and Economics, and I'm very happy to have you here and to broadcast you this weekly session on the latest and most interesting topics of the European research area as reflected in the Horizon Europe Framework Programme. Just a few words about the Budapest University of Technology and Economics, or BME. BME is the leading Hungarian higher education and research institution of engineering, social sciences, natural sciences. We have 8 faculties, and the key research areas of the university include ICT, artificial intelligence, sustainable energy, accumulator and battery technologies, vehicle technology, biotechnology, nanophysics, nanotechnology, or disaster prevention. This webinar is brought to you by the Center for University Industry Cooperation, which is the BME FIEC. This center organizes and coordinates the innovation-related activities of the universities, including intellectual property management, tech transfer, international relations, and also startup incubation and Horizon Europe support for our researchers. We have launched this webinar in November 2021 with the aim of creating a discussion on concepts and ideas that are defining the novel ways for conducting research in the European research area. We have had 8 sessions since then, and we have dealt with topics such as open science, citizen science, research ethics, or we have also discovered new methods of co-creation, like how to create living labs, for example. These webinars are live streamed on YouTube and on the website horizon.bme.hu, and the recordings of the earlier sessions can be rewatched also on the web page. We would like to invite you to engage in discussion with us. We would like to show you interesting perspectives, and we also want to know your opinion and your questions. So please use Slido for questions. You can post questions, you can upvote existing questions. If you are following us from the web page, please use the embedded Slido platform on the page. If you are following us from YouTube, then please use the Slido code 531640 on the Slido webpage. We look forward to your questions, and we are going to answer them at the end of the presentation. Today, we are going to have another open science topic from a very interesting perspective. Our guest today is Eva Hnatkova. Eva is the Open Science Coordinator at the National Library of Technology and at the University of Chemistry and Technology in Prague, where she is responsible for the implementation of European standards into the Czech research landscape. Eva is an advisory board member and former president of EuroDoc, the European Council of Doctoral Candidates and Junior Researchers. EuroDoc has advocated and promoted open science for a long time. And Eva, our guest today, has a significant experience in supporting early career researchers and also in promoting open science in Czechia and on the European and international level as well. So I'm going to close this little presentation and would like to give Eva the floor.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you very much for invitation and also about the introduction about me. I will share the slides. So I will share the screen. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect.
Yeah, so thank you again. So we decided this topic about supporting Eurecaris research with open science because I think it's very important. The Eurecaris researchers are now in this transition to open science, and they are the future of further researcher and also the leaders of innovation. And as you said, I have different roles, and maybe what I would like to highlight is this approach from European level, national, also institutional level, which give like broader broader view on the topic of open science. So we will go through a few topics that you can see here. So I will start directly. You already hear what is the open science. There are many definitions, which is not, is not defined everywhere in the same way. But how we can understand the open science is practically the umbrella term for many practices and principles of open science. The main pillar of open science is the open access to research publication and the fair data, which are possibly open data, but nowadays also the open source to the application, and then other practices, for example, open peer review, but also using like open licenses involving citizen science, or using open education resources, and much more. What are the main benefits? So as you know, there are a lot of we are facing these global challenges, and research information is very important. We have seen in the COVID time. So what will help us to open access to research, because nowadays only about or more than 75% is closed behind the paywall. So to increase the impact of the research and also speed the innovation and share the resources, this is all beneficial. And for researchers especially, they can increase their visibility and citation and impact of their work. But what are the challenges for the Eurecaris researchers, or generally for the researchers? We have done with Eurodoc in 2018, together with European Commission, some survey, and we found out, even if it's some year ago, I think it's still valid. So many researchers are unaware what is the open science and how they can practice it. There is also the lack of the training courses, especially the doctoral levels on open science, or how they can use the data management plan. And there is at some universities or institutions lack of the support. So there are no guidelines, no specialists like data stewards. And sometimes there is also the lack of clear open science policy at the institutions, but also at the founder level. And in some countries, we can see the lack of strategic plan to implement open science at the national level, which then it's difficult for the institution to set up their own strategy. But this is very important to support the Eurecaris researcher, because as we know, the open science is a hot topic and priority, not only in Europe, but also at the global level. And here we can see the open science in Horizon Europe, which is the new standards, new way how to do the research. And we can see what are the mandatory parts. So it is the immediate open access to the publication. And here the beneficiaries or the authors must retain the sufficient intellectual property rights to comply with this open access requirement. So here is also important to train the researchers, especially those at Eurecaris, how to deal with the license and individual intellectual property rights. And then as the second part is this data sharing, as open as possible, close as necessary. So doesn't mean that every data should be open, but where it's possible, it should be open by default. And there is mandatory part of research data management for this fair research data. And to incentivize also researchers when they apply to the research project to Horizon Europe, it is also part of the assessment nowadays. In the criteria under the excellence, they need to describe in the methodological part how they will comply with this open science. So this is, I think, motivation and a good example how to have clear policy at this way at the European level funding. What European Commission does to support Eurecaris researcher or general researcher to comply with this mandated requirements. So since 2021, there is the open access or innovative publishing platform, which can be used for the results from European research project. So this initiative is by the European Commission, but the technology is based on F1000 research. And this innovative publishing platform, this provide the immediate open access. It support open fair data And it has also open peer review. There is no author fee. The fee is paid by the publisher, and is offered to all discipline, and there are metric as article level. Why I'm saying this, even if this is now for those beneficiary of Horizon project, now the European Commission is thinking how to sustain this innovative platform, and they are thinking that could be also incorporated for national funders. So I think this would be very good for, again, for the future researcher, that if the funders could have their own part on this platform, and will be very helpful to researchers. And it is also important to train them, because these innovative platforms, they bring innovative publishing model with pre-publication and this open peer review. And there are also many other possibilities what we can publish. So not only the classical research article, but also data notes, method articles, software tools articles, and so on. So all these things should be also reflected later in evaluation or research assessment. And here you can only see how it looks like. So you can have the articles, and this open peer review also offers that the revivers are known, and they have also this ORCID ID, which is important also to support Irikaris researcher with these persistent identifiers, and they can claim or have this open peer review is open to other can read it. And now I would like to introduce you, because as one of the requirements is the sharing the data. So here is important to train the Irikaris researcher already at doctoral level. And I would like to present you the data stewardship course, which was developed by Dog and Hans. So Dog and Hans is the EUA project funded, which has 90 partners, and it's coordinated by the University in Tromsø. And they are working on, or the aim here is to implement the transferable skills training into the current doctoral programs. And they have these resources, training resources for PhD supervision. So this is for supervisor. There is the data stewardship course and career management and entrepreneurship course. And all these courses should be under the license CC BY and available, like fully available by the end of this year. What is the aim of the data stewardship course? So this is to introduce the research data management to PhD candidates. In this case, especially at the first level, because the course provide them through all the steps of the research life cycle, from the collecting, processing, preserving, but also how they can share the data, or how they can reuse the data. And the course is designed to help them to prepare also better for the PhD and for the job outside academia, and in combine practical and theoretical content. This data stewardship course was developed by this group of research data management specialists, and it was piloted already at 2 universities. It is University of Chemistry and Technology in Prague and at the Karlstad University of Sweden. This was last year, it was the first round of the pilot. And this month we already open again the pilot course. This is piloting because we are collecting the feedback, and then the feedback is incorporated and the course is improved. The module, there are 3 modules within this data stewardship course. So in module 1, we have the online lectures, and then in module 2, so this is mostly about the theory. In module 2, we have the workshop and assignments in local working teams. And then in module 3, it's more with collaboration with the employers, and again, it's local basis. So here you can see example of what are the thematic section in the first module. So it's about to motivate the doctoral candidates, about the theory concepts, and it's conclude, let's say the length is about fully 16 hours. So for example, now we are running, they have 1 month time to go through this module 1, our PhD candidates at the university, and there are some videos, suggested readings, and also other interactions. Here you can see how it looks like. So in the module, so here is just example. they can have some badge and some reading information. And from the first this online course, they can also generate the the certificate. If you pass the correct answer, they can have this certificate. And to give you example, these are the module 2, which consists of the workshop. As you can see, this is the our schedule with the 6 thematic topics. Each workshop should have 3 hours. We make it a little bit shorter for 2 hours, but there is the importance of research data and open sharing, data management plan, how to structure document metadata, and so on. So this is in module 2, and the Moodle platform in this case provide the information for the teacher. So this is done online, or we did online last year because of COVID. This year will be offline, so we will see how to work. And then PhD candidates can work in a smaller groups on these topics. And to give you an example, for example, we created the data in the data stewardship wizard, because we have our own instance in the University of Chemistry and Technology in Prague. So we created some easier module that doctoral candidates could directly try to work in it. So we divided them in smaller groups, like 3-4 people, and their task, they have firstly introduction, and then they have the task to fill in. And we could help them also if they had the questions. And I think they were really satisfied how it works, because it navigates them, and this is like in Google Drive. It can be shared by more people inside, and you can also divide if it's like before submitting, after. So this is the online tool for data management plan, which is also one of the tools which is suggested by Horizon Europe. And we are also working at national level, trying to make it more having more support and promote it here in the Czech Republic. Then we have the module 3. So the module 3, it's also the workshop, but it's based for the collaboration with the local industry, for example, to share the information. And just to give you example, we also provided some European level perspective, national perspective, and then institutional perspective, plus these 2, for example, companies that presented how they deal with the data there. So this is how to implement. So university can decide if the PhD candidate receive the credits for taking the course. I think this is very important to provide them some rewards or credits to motivate them to take this course, because it's very important for later in their career. And these 3 modules, they came up with assignments together, and they can function also as an examination. And as I said before, this will be everything in open access, so could be adapted by all institutions. They can modify to their needs. And yeah, the aim is, as I said, to innovate the career-oriented PhD, and all the material will be also later on this PhD hub. So once the project Doc Enhance finish, everything will see, all the training resources will be available. But what is very important, and what I would like to stress, to support IRCARIS researchers and to practice open science, what is important are the incentives and rewards. Because nowadays the current system incentivizes especially the publication with high impact factor. There is this publish perish mentality. Usually the other results, outputs are not so much rewarded. And this system encourages mostly individuals rather than collaboration. And open science is the new approach, the new way how to practice open science by promoting collaboration and using new digital tools. So it's very important here that we can collaborate. And here I would like to give you also example what is going on at the European level. So European Commission is trying or launch this coalition who will work on the reform of research assessment. So they just launched, and this recommendation, this will be the output. This will be work with European University Association and Science Europe and other stakeholders. So each institution or university can join this open call, and they can be involved in the design of this recommendation for the reform of research assessment. And I think this is very important because this is about the culture change with the open science, and in this way we can support Eurycarist researcher, and we should think already how we can incentivize them at the doctoral level. So this is all from my part, and now I am looking for for your questions and comments.
Thank you very much, Eva. We have received a lot of questions, but before that, just to pick it up on your last slide about the reforming of the research assessment campaign or initiative, and of course, if it's something like, I don't know, secret or confidential at the moment, I'm not asking it, but do you have any information on what role open science is about to play in this initiative? Because this is one of the major questions here, how we can include societal impact and open science practices in the traditional research performance assessment criteria.
Yeah, I think this is exactly about this reform and how to introduce the open science, and also not only also collaboration with other stakeholders, and how to improve citizen science. Because as I said, the nowadays system doesn't encourage or generally researchers. So this is very important, and it was said that also in EOS Genadras initiative, the problem is not the technical so much. Like technical can be resolved, but this culture change is much more difficult, and especially the research rewarding systems, and there are many levels. So one is also at the institution, because they receive funding on some criteria. There are how it's called, this ranking of the universities, and then for the researcher they receive grants. So it depends how they are evaluated for receiving the grants, what are the criteria there. So this is something that can be incorporated at the institution. They have also like career path, and this is important. So this is whole concept and picture, which is everything is interconnected. So in this call or in this initiative, I think it's especially for open science practicing, how to improve it, and for collaboration. And I would suggest all the institutions. So it's open to the like universities, but also the funders. And there is the core team. They will draft this recommendation, and later this will open to those who express their interest. They can contribute or comment, and later they will create, I think, proper coalition with more governments and everything.
Thank you very much. Let's see the questions now. I'm going to share my screen. Yeah, you should see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what does a data steward do?
Yeah, so this is also something that should be somehow defined, but this is new role, the data steward, and especially is the person who help the researcher with this mandated, and how to deal with manage with the research data, how to fill in the research data management plan, and everything with this topic. So there are many options. It can be, for example, one member of the research team who is more specialist to the topic, or it can be one person for the like institutions, if it's small, that can help more teams within the topic. So especially is to help researcher to dealing with research data management.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I think a question related to that is that how can you help researchers as open science coordinator?
Yeah, so there are again different levels. So at the national level, we are trying to implement the standards into the policy. For example, at the national level here, it's important we have many funders. So it's important that we will have the same criteria or requirements, and possibly that will be those who are also at the European level, and also the terminology and everything. And at the institution, the Open Science Coordinator, so again, this is not only one role, but this open science covers many topics. So it's collaboration with the researchers directly, but at the same time with the Department of Research Innovation, with the Department of the project supports, because if they have like European project, they call you. So it's the collaboration with the stakeholder within the university or institution. And again, ideally to set up the institutional policy and guidelines to help researchers how they can meet this criteria or help them to promote open science practices.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Throughout the webinar series, we had the chance to talk to Judith De Haan, who is the one of the open science managers of Utrecht University. We had the presentation by Lisa Latzalu, who is working at ERAC as an open science coordinator. Now, you as an open science coordinator in Prague, what do you think, how do you feel about, and this is also a question that we received, whether, how is our region in terms of open science? Are we lagging behind? Do we have more to do than the Western European colleagues, or what is your, is the perceptiveness of open science different? What is your experience?
Think, especially if I can talk for the Czech Republic, because what we have done, and this I think helped us, there was the European University Association survey in 2020. And that time, as a coordinator in the Czech Republic, I asked like ministry, like if they could encourage the university to fill in. So we have 26 public universities, and in this case, 25 fill in the survey. So there were, I think, around 300 university participating in the surveys. And now we have the data and we can see where they are. And even this was like for Europe, we can see in the Czech Republic, we are really behind with the preparation and the support, especially like at the policy level. And it is not still the strategy, even if now it's changing, but it wasn't the strategy priority for the universities. So, and it's with this data, it's comparable that we are really very behind to others.
Mm-hmm. Question related to that, what are the major obstacles for taking up open science practices by the researchers?
Yeah.
What is your experience?
Yeah, for experience, so first of all, for open access is, so generally this, there are not most of them are aware or they don't see importance in it, and still is something new. They are also afraid, let's say, to sharing the data. But in terms of the open access, often is the money, because they should publish in these high impact factor journals, and not always the resources are available, even if we have the fund. So this is the problem. Or many, they see, especially here, they see this open access as something with the predatory journals, because we have some system. And for the research data sharing, so it's still something new. We don't have these guidelines, and there is missing infrastructure at the national level, which is under development right now, but it takes time. So, and then especially this again, this how institutions and researchers are evaluated, what they need for as a ticket for the next careers, like especially in the academia, even if most of them will go, let's say, beyond the academia, but this is the currency what caused these high impact factors journals.
Do you see any like good example, good institutional practices by your university or by other Czech universities in fostering open science?
Good example. Let's say there are differences if the university is large or is smaller. For example, our university is small. We have only 4 faculties, but we have like Charles University in Prague, and they have 17 faculties. So in their case, they have the big open science centrum, and they can provide more coordinated, more information. So this is, I think, good example. Have to like Open Science Center. And with the good practices, I think this course is very good. Good example, like how to introduce into the current doctoral training programs this training for the first PhD candidates. And for example, I know this is Ghent University. They have very good data stewardship approach. So how to help researchers with this.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe last one I would like to mention, this is also provide some funding to research data management, to have some part in if we have grants, for example, some part should be dedicated. But what I found here, what is also obstacles, we are collaborating to set up new requirements for the Czech grant agencies, let's say, and it's not easy, like how they should evaluate it, this criteria. So we need also train not only Eurycaris research, but also evaluators and others. So it's really not so easy.
So yeah, I once had a discussion with the National Grant Agency of Ireland, and they actually managed to include societal impact in the national grant evaluation. So and I know that data management is an obligatory requirement for some of the Hungarian national grants, the research grants. Do you have any examples of national funding, which is good? Because if we manage to internalize this approach by applying to national grants, if these are, if open science or societal impact is included in the evaluation criteria, maybe it is easier to do it on the European level as well. Do you have any experience?
Not so much, but maybe I would like to mention that again, there are courses, and I have seen like Vita, which is in UK. They are providing the courses for research development for researcher, and they provide such courses like how to have an impact on the research. And I think it's not so easy, maybe how it seems, because it's not only like having public, but really how to have an impact. So there should be, I think, courses for researchers to help them, and it would be great to have this impact. And maybe what I would like to mention, just maybe it's not the same, but nowadays there is the Pride network. This is the professionals in doctoral education, those who support doctoral education, and they are having in Prague at the beginning of May. There will be the Pride network conference for the social impact of doctoral education. So I think to think what is the impact in the global challenges.
Great, we'll definitely follow that. Okay. Does it impose bigger work burden of researchers to do open science? What is your experience?
Yeah, I think it is. This is the problem, because all researchers are already overwhelmed. So there should be some balance, and probably not to require, like if you have PhD candidates and they have to do research, but at the same time they need to write some other proposals and teach the master students, supervise someone. So it's really hard, and they are already overwhelmed with other activities. And especially if you give them like requirements that they should have like 4 papers published. So if we want to them to provide also fair data, then it could be like 1 publication, but with all the fair data and everything. So some balance should be fine, because we cannot, even I talk about the course on impact, but we cannot ask them more and more. So some sense why this research, what we value on it should be discussed and set up.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned also the Open Research Europe platform, which is an open access publication platform set up by the European Commission, which should be treated as
a... Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
It's fine now.
Okay, good. So which is not a repository and not a preprint archive, but this is an actual publishing platform. And I would just like to know your experience with that. What happens if you promote that Open Research Europe platform to the researchers? Because they might say that it is great and it is very valuable to publish open access, but what is the impact factor of it? That is the usual
this
question.
is what they are asking. It doesn't have impact factor because it's not the journal, it's the platform, it's the innovative way how to publish. So it's different one, and probably will be near future. And this is not just the system already exists of this 1000. They have their own 1000 platform. But also Wellcome Trust or other funding are using this possibility. And what is benefit for Irvikaris researcher, especially so if they have their work, so they cannot publish right now if they are not part of the Horizon. But here I would like to encourage the funders at national level, if there will be this possibility to have their own, let's say, gate on this Open Research Europe would be fine. And even the price here nowadays is like 780 euro, which is paid by the Commission. But if there are more funders, this price could go down, let's say 500 euros for open access. And what is the benefit? So there is the the fast publication, so they don't need to wait a year or two with publishing the results. But if the requirements methodological are okay, this is already published, there should be the data statement, so they can already it's kind of preprint version, but they can already, because usually they don't have so many publication when they start, so they can already use it. And yeah, they can increase the visibility for them because it's openly accessible. There is the open peer review, so I think it's very good. And the paper is under CC BY license, so it's easier for them also to fill if they have requirements by the funders, let's say, so they will be aligned with the requirements by using these new platforms.
Absolutely, thank you. Visibility is a key point. At the last session, we had a guest, Alberto Scotti, who is an early career researcher at EURAC, and he was the recipient of the institution's Open Science Award. And he mentioned that, so he was basically listing the benefits of publishing open science, and he mentioned that just by publishing his data in an open way, he managed to get invited into 4 grant proposal preparations and international collaborations. So it is very important. And as you are very active on this field, you are an advisory board member of Eurodoc, and you are in this team community. What do you see? Is there an European level open science community shaping between the early career researchers, or how do you see that?
At the European level?
Yeah. Is there anything happening?
Yeah, let's say Eurodoc is trying nowadays. There is also EOSC community. I'm involved also in the task force for research adoption and engagement, because, for example, it's very important to engage them. Let's say if we talk about FAIR principle, for example, so we have this findable, accessible, so this is usually provided by the repository, so you need the infrastructure. But to make them interoperable, so this is about the standards, how to use it in your field. And in some discipline, these standards are already developed, but not in the others. But maybe in some group they already have some system, and this should be encouraged. This needs the international collaboration to make it interoperable, this data. So I think there will be kind of hackathons or something to motivate the researcher to share with these standards, or maybe are not the standards, but what are the practicalities within their field, how they do it to help the interoperability framework. And then it helped them as well, because if they will need some data, they can use it, they will be operable.
Okay, thank you very much. And the last question for today is, do you have train the trainer sessions for the data management course. So that you said that these data management course should be used or could be used by the institutions themselves later on. Do you provide this type of training as well?
Not properly, or we have the training, but there are, in this course that I presented, there are the guidelines. There are, for each session, there are 6 topics for the workshops, and there are the guidelines, especially for the teacher. And this is now under revision, so they are using it, then their own experience. So it's more, there is not like train the session, but each because there are different lectures for each topic, let's say. So they can use the training. They can study the material and develop. And we have also support, because this is piloting, so we have the support from Tromsø University in this sense. But I have seen in some countries at national level, because then depends on the funding, how it works, that they have, for example, funding at national level to provide courses for data stewardships, let's say to like group of 20 data stewards, and they will be trained in some in the topic, and they can spread to the institution. So I saw it's not the case in Czech, but I think this can be effective.
Okay, so what should we do if we are interested in this course? So what should be the next step?
If you are interested, so now it's open, I think, this online part. So as a guest, you can enter, or if you would like more information, there is for sure some contact. So this online can be entered, and you can see the online courses. But for this module 2 and 3, the third module is mostly based on the local things. But these practical workshops or practical things, I think this will be fully available by the end of the year. So you need to wait.
Okay.
And this is because it's still not finished. So there is two times this piloting and trying to improve the guiding material and everything. But then it will be under this CC BY license, and it can be adapted at each university. So.
Great, thank you very much. And thank you for answering all of these questions. And we are going to stay tuned then and follow closely this course, how it evolves, and also the Pride event you mentioned. And thank you very much for being our guest today. Next week, we are going to deal with open science again, and we are going to do some data stewardship as well, because we will be looking at the Hungarian perspective, the changing role of libraries, how libraries are adapting to the open science requirement, what they can do to support researchers, and we are going to have 2 guests from Hungary. So please stay tuned, and thank you very much for all of you who participated in today's webinar. See you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you.